everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of 52 Authors, 52 Weeks with me, your host, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, the Growth Motivator. And today I am joined with, hey, I lost my train of thought. Is that a senior moment? All right, let's keep going. I am joined with me today is Sue Bowles, author of, and you say this so much in the book, I almost feel like it should be a song or something. This much I know, the space between. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dr. Lisa. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm so proud of you for being vulnerable enough to share your stories, I should say. Um, because we got enough reality TV that's out there today. And I think people need to heal. And those of us who have been vulnerable enough to share our stories, we're helping others go through their own process. Because I don't know about you, but I grew up in a time where you were seen and not heard. Um, but also, this part I do know because you mentioned this in the book. What happens in our house stays in our house, and we're not telling anybody else what's going on in our house.
Right.
So,
Keep up the image. Yeah.
yeah, yes, no, we don't have cockroaches. So, tell our listening, viewing audience a little bit about your background and whatever else you want to share before we get into a little bit of the book, because we want them to get their own copy. So we don't want to tell them everything, but we'll talk about some things in the book.
All right. So yeah. So I'll leave out the story part of who I am and what I do. Uh, but I was raised in Dayton, Ohio. I now live in Central Ohio. And there were 6 kids in our family. One passed when he was 2, so I'll meet him when I get to heaven. And just I love having an opportunity to pour into people. That has become my heart. I went to grad school, spent 8 years on the college campus with a master's degree, and now I speak and I write, and I'm a master certified life coach, helping other people in their journeys, so that I get a chance to live my step ahead that we'll get into as well, which is the business name and the whole concept behind that. But I love what I do. I love the opportunity to hear somebody else's story. When they share that with me, that's a treasured moment and a sacred moment that I don't take lightly. And when I have that opportunity, it's just a treasured moment. So love what I'm doing now. How I got here is what we're going to get into, but the message behind everything is the important part today.
Oh, and this much I know.
You're so good.
You know what? Every time I saw it, it made me smile, and I'm pretty sure that Rusty is smiling down from heaven, even though you didn't get an opportunity to meet each other. You'll meet at an appointed time,
Yep.
and it'll be like you knew each other your whole lives.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
All right, so I like to always ask authors about your defining moment where you realize the world needed to hear this story. What was that
Mhm.
moment for you where you decided, all right, I'm going to put this in black and white?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm trying to find the succinct answer to that because as authors, we like to, do a build up to it. I think for me though was when Simone Biles shared her story, and I mentioned that briefly. And I've gone on many podcasts and shared that if I ever have a chance to tell her personally, that would be the greatest honor in my life. When she shared her story, it gave me courage to share mine. And I'm getting a little emotional here. And I have learned that when that happens, I will not say, I will not apologize for my tears. I will say, please understand them and thank you for understanding because it's my story. And I'm allowed to cry over my story. And No, but when Simone shared her story and everything that happened, that gave me courage because that was right around the time I was dealing with my childhood trauma for the first time. And when you're in that situation, you are shrouded in secrecy. In my case, it was over 40 years worth of secrecy. And before I even started dealing with it. And there was such freedom in that and empowerment in that. And I was like, if she can do it, then this is burning in me, and I needed somebody to give me that courage. And her sharing her story gave me mine.
Wow. So I have not read her book yet. Um, but I watched something on Netflix that talked about her life and journey. But I feel like there's more that I'm missing. And since her hubby is playing for the Chicago Bears, I'm gonna have to check that out. Um, well, when I read the book, I literally could picture the 7-year-old version of you going
Mhm.
through the trauma that you experienced. And one of the things it that occurred to me was that I know you wrote this book, but I think there needs to be a animated, illustrated version of parts of the book for little
Mm,
girls to have so that if that were to happen to them, they would have
mm,
a frame of reference that would help them know what to do next, be brave enough to do
mhm,
the next because you held on to this for a very long time. But luckily, you had some really cool people in your life that
yeah.
I would say that partnered with you. I mean, Ed must have been like, I felt like I knew Ed. So you had
Ed was a gem.
yes, all of these amazing people
Yeah.
who helped usher you into where you are today. And I really believe that the children of today, they need us. They
Mhm,
don't need TikTok reels that show them fashion and all these things. They need books that gently talk about these things and for them to say, well, mommy, you know what? Right, to start the conversation. And then prayerfully, mommy can handle it because as
mhm,
you talk about in the book, um, and my mom said this all the time, kids don't come with user's manual. And I did the best that I could do
mhm.
with what I had.
Right.
But kids need help today.
Mhm. I have never had anybody tell me that about suggested being animated. That is powerful, and thank you for that. And something I will certainly be praying about and thinking about. 'Cause I've thought of a lot of things about my story and where things are going, but never considered that. And that puts a whole different dimension to things.
It does. And you could look, I consider myself a creative, but not a creative. But I could see where the little characters could be like some little animals, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily be people, but it is people. You know what I mean? But anyway,
Mhm.
um, I feel that so many people are broken, as evidenced by the world that we're living in today. And I'm on a mission to bring books back to the forefront of our day to day life experiences because I know as a child, reading books gave me the imagination that I have today
Mhm.
just from reading.
Wow. There's power in the book. There is power. And yes, it's easy right now to have it on your phone and your Kindle and everything. I want a paper copy. I want the paper copy. I want to be able to highlight this thing. I want to see it be dog eared. I want to write my notes in it.
um, highlighting notes. I like to write notes. So I had a moment where you said Daddy didn't want to call the exterminator because he had made up his own concoction. Um,
Mhm.
it just brought back so many memories of my childhood that I kind of have forgotten about. And they weren't negative
Mm.
things, it was just things that happened. Like I remember one day there was a mouse underneath something, and my dad had this mallet and was hitting the mouse to kill it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing to this mouse? But why are we still in this house? So
Yeah.
let's start to talk a little bit about the book. And since this is your story, I don't want to take the light away from you. But I would like for you to start to talk about some key messages that you want our listening, viewing audience to know about. And by
Mhm.
the way, I love the titles of the chapters. They were definitely appropriate and gave me pause, like hurt people hurting their kids. Oh, I went through some things just from that title alone.
Mm. That title, and I say, that's the first chapter, and I say it in the book that it made things make sense. It didn't excuse anything, but it made it make sense. And that was a real freeing thing for me. Because when you're getting ready to, when you're writing something and you're saying, "Here I am, world. This is me. Take me or leave me." Um, there's a lot that goes into that, and actually, what the initial thought of the book was versus what came out were a little different. Really, about the only thing that the original idea was to share stories and lessons I had learned, and that part about this much I know at the end of each chapter um, was like the culminating of it. I did not expect to be telling my entire story, so but it became
Ah,
very therapeutic. But yeah, when to yeah to take that step and to put things out there was daunting and freeing at the same time. And it's it's just a whole different thing that you don't enter into lightly when you're doing something like this. But to be able to share the stories, and I think one of the big lessons, not lessons, but one of the key takeaways, the messages in that book is that no one is too far gone, that there is hope. That is one of the things I struggled with was I'm too far gone, I'm too screwed up, I'm a total waste of space. And that's one of the things that is burning in my heart now when I'm out speaking is that message that there is hope. Um, I think another key message of the book is right along that line is you're worthy of healing. There is something better for you. And and I say these things because every person needs to hear these. They might think it in their head. It might be a silent hope, but there's so much chatter. Frederick Buechner calls it the endless chatter of human thought. And there's so much chatter in the brain, and the story that we have told ourselves is faulty, and we have to get the story straight. And that's what part of this book was about. And the message I put out there now is helping someone get the story straight. And the other one other the key takeaway I want people to get from the book, and it's a hard truth, and I'm a brass tacks bottom line kind of person, and it's that you will go through the healing mountain, and you got to have a travel buddy because it is not a pleasant journey. It's not a journey that can be avoided. It's not something you can go around. You have to go through. And I am living proof that you will survive. I'd say those are three of the key messages right there.
oh, this much I know. Listen, when I read the book, I started to think about people that I know who I've watched them with their kids, and now the kids are adults. And I recognize that there's some healing that needs to take place in both areas, but they're not willing to seek that
Mm.
help, to go through the process. And it is my desire that through a book, someone will pick up a book, pick up this book, and read the stories and say, wow, I went through that. And I'm not talking
Mm.
about, the bad things that happen, but the good things as well. Like when you got your job at the fast food restaurant. Um, I smile because my first job when I in 1989 was at McDonald's. I was a manager, and I tell people all the time that job became a part of the fabric who is Lisa, because I learned how to manage people, processes, resources. I learned that there were no big I's and little U's. And people like, you learned all of that from McDonald's? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was an experience that I embraced, and it helped contribute to who I am today. But so many people need to step out. I say step out on faith and go through the journey of healing, because it's so much waiting for you on the other side.
Mhm. There is there's a few years ago, we launched something called the Dare to Believe movement, and it is about challenging people on how they answer the question, "Do I believe that I matter?" It's one thing for someone to say, "I believe in you. You can do this." But if that endless chatter of human thought is still chattering away, those are just empty words that are flying right by your ear. And, another hard truth, until each person can answer that question in a positive, firm way, bedrock way, permanent life change cannot and will not happen. That's a hard truth. But yes, each person needs to be able to evaluate that question. Do I really believe that I matter? And if so, how am I showing up for myself today in the hard journey with the hard questions? In the appointment I don't want to keep with my counselor because I know what we're going to talk about and I got to drag my backside there anyway.
There's this stigma associated with therapy.
Hmm.
And I equate therapy to the different tools that I have on my tool belt, right? I
Hmm.
need to learn how to eat better. So I go to a nutritionist. I need medical care. So I go to a medical doctor. Um, I need my facial. So I have the esthetician, right? You need these resources on your tool belt to help you in your walk. But many people think, what are people going to think about me if I go to therapy? And I'm like, they're going to think you human, because the people who don't go to therapy, those are the ones that I'm worried about, because they have all of that anger and frustration bottled up. And as you talked about in the book, it leads you down these paths of doing things that are not necessarily healthy for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, and to put it out there, I'm still with Amanda, and Amanda is my counselor. And because life happens, and people are like, "You're still with her," and then no one really says that to me, but once in a while they're like, somebody might think that. It's like, and that's fine for them to think that. I am doing what I need to do for me. The whole concept of my step ahead, which is you only have to be a step ahead to help the person behind you, is that I'm still reaching out to Amanda for support and other people, but I have lived experience And with that experience, I can reach back and help someone else who's just starting or going through something I've gone through. And together we have a human chain of support. I am all about, and my mission is to help break the stigma around mental health struggles. It is okay to not be okay. That is one of the clear messages of my book. And I will do everything I can to help break that stigma. Because if there's one thing that came out of COVID, is that mental health is finally becoming more of a topic of conversation. It's not as taboo as it was, but it is getting to be better. And I'm excited about that. And I want to be at the tip of the spear with that, because that is where health and healing happens.
Absolutely. And I think that the reason that we're in the predicament that we are in today is because of the cuts to mental health services. There's a shortage of mental health professionals. So I'm excited about telehealth and how it
Mhm.
can help people get help, because they may not have wanted to go to a building, but they will hop on this telehealth platform and
Mhm.
have a conversation because they feel safer in their
Right.
own place, but they can
Mhm.
get the help that they need.
Right. Very much so. And in fact, Amanda wasn't here in Ohio and then she moved to South Carolina. She maintained her license in Ohio. So we now meet virtually. I was in South Carolina a couple of years ago and drove 3 hours to see her. I'm like, I cannot be in your state and not come see you after 5 years. So it was the first time we'd seen each other since then. And it was wonderful. We have a fantastic chemistry.
It's almost
And
like these people
um,
in your life. You have these people in your life, um, Ed, Michael. You just have these people in your life that literally have been pulling you along the way.
yeah. It just it dumbfounds me at times. For the longest time, I was like, God, why me? I used to be hacked off at God. If you love me, why'd you let this happen? And even just recently, as in 2 weeks from the time, 2 weeks ago from the time we're recording this, he lifted the veil and showed me his faithfulness through it all, and a switch just flipped, and it started making even more sense, and I'm even more passionate about what I'm doing. There's a phrase, I'm gonna move my head here above my head, and it says, it won't matter if you have a few scars. It will matter if you didn't live. And that is the power, and the power of story and the power of healing, is that we have wounds, and those wounds can be gangrenous if we're all we're trying to do is cover them. I got to keep up the appearances. I can't let anybody know I'm having a problem. And then over time, think about when you cut yourself. If all you do is pile something else on top, it's going to get infected, and then it's going to start really getting really nasty. And until you rip off that bandage and you scrape it out because you got all this junk underneath, not until you go through that process can the healing really happen. But scars are wounds that have healed and are now a story of hope for others. That's why I love that phrase behind me. And that's why I'm grateful for all these people that have come in my life that cheer me, that keep me knocked down when I need to get knocked down, and who speak truth to me. Because, like I said, my story is wrong, my chatter is wrong, my narrative is wrong, just like anybody else's. And I have to get my own story straight. I can't trust what I'm telling myself because that's what got me here.
Absolutely. And I got a bone to pick with you. You didn't know I
What?
had
Uh
this
oh.
bone, but I have this bone.
I bring it
Okay,
on.
Miss 26 on the ACT. I had a 19. Okay. I had a 19, and you worried about you don't get the big fat envelope in the mail. I actually, and this is so weird, and I tell people all the time, I went from having a 19 on the ACT, believing that I deserved more, to getting a doctorate degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that that 19 didn't define me. It didn't present the full picture of my potential. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to keep moving forward in spite of the 19,
Wow.
not
And
26.
kudos, kudos to you. Well, and here's the flip side. One, I think I'm probably oblivious to what 26 means anymore. I think I remember it to be an okay score, but I was a B plus student in high school, but because of all the trauma and all the chatter, I did not excel to the point of what I could. I didn't have any scholarships. I paid my way through college. I had my master's degree paid off from an assistantship while I was still paying off my bachelor's. Mom and dad when said, we wish we could help you, but we can't. And I said, no offense, I don't want your help. Because then if I screw up, it's my money going down the drain and not yours. So in the same way that you used it and you said, in spite of I'm doing this, I have struggled with self-doubt and almost if I don't belong, I'm an imposter. I have struggled with it all as recent as this year. And it's just now, one, a number does not define anybody. It doesn't. It tells how good you do on a test on that day. That is all it really means. But I have struggled with the doubt. My dad was 3 points below genius. I have some of his intelligence. I have since tested. So they said on the high end of average, and they think I tested low. So like, okay, so I have some of my dad's intelligence, but it doesn't mean I have the confidence that goes with it all the time.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like, I did a 10-minute video on social media the other day. So I'm going to just repeat one
Mm,
line that I said on this video. And that one line is, "You are enough." I think
mhm,
all too often we allow the voices in our head
mhm.
to make us think that we don't deserve what God said I could have.
Yeah.
So you are enough, irregardless of what the little people are up there saying. You are enough. And this I know, that the world that the world needs you to help in this charge, because there's so many people that have a chapter 1 inside of them
Mhm.
that they need to let out.
Right. And I appreciate that, Lisa. And the switch flipped a couple weeks ago. In the book, I talk about the walking stick retreat community and how dear they are to me and how God has used them in my healing journey. And we had retreat 2 weeks ago, and that's where the switch flipped. And I have no room in my life to be timid anymore. I have a message, I have a mission, and I have a purpose, and I am full throttle ahead. And the endless chatter of human thought has become much less of negative stuff and more like, where am I going next and how can I help somebody? Because that's what I'm all about from here on out.
I love it. So let me ask a question. So the retreat
Yep.
from 2014, is this the same retreat that you're talking about? Is you go to
Yep.
this every year? Oh, because
Twice a year,
okay,
spring and fall.
because you didn't talk about the name of it in the beginning, so I must have missed it because I was trying to figure out what that was. Okay, so now I got
No
it
problem.
because knowledge is power, and you never know. I actually have been looking at different retreats,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I will add that to my list because you just never know. Just never know.
It's called Walking Stick Retreats. It's walkingstickretreats.org is the website, and the next retreat is in Lynchburg, Virginia in September. We,
Okay.
we, we usually do April in Southeast Indiana, just outside Louisville, and then this one in Lynchburg is at a new facility.
Okay. All right. Well, thank
And
you.
who knows, maybe we'll meet.
Right. You know what? I tell all the authors that if I'm ever in your state, it, we have to meet
Yes,
because, first of all, I am a hugger, so I have to get my hug.
yes.
There's something powerful about hugging people.
Mhm.
Uh, some people do these little side hugs, but
Hmm.
I am the embrace you person because I just want to give you all my love, right?
Yep, yep.
So
Love it.
who's in the picture? I'm nosy.
No, this is great. So this is my dad.
Okay.
And I have a picture of a Christmas card he sent me one year. It says, "I will always be your biggest supporter and your loudest cheerleader." He died December 27th, 2022. Uh, in the 5 day time period, we lost him, and that was very gut wrenching. Thankfully, years before that, I had him autograph that picture because I'm like, I want you my autographs. He says, it says, "My dad, Tom Bowles." So that's dad, always looking over my shoulder. This is my mom. She passed away October 5th, 2020. I was her caregiver for the last 8 years of her life. She moved in with me in 1997. And I went through a year of who the heck am I now that I am not a caregiver? Um,
Mm.
and then that's my brother Scott, and dad was 33 years sober when he passed away. Scott just celebrated 13 years sober. There's a lot of stories in between that as well. Some of the stuff with dad I allude to in the book. There's a but there's a lot of stories all wrapped up in that, and I love them. I miss them dearly, and I learned the phrase seasonal calling. This time my identity was wrapped up in what I did. And that was my life was on hold, and that's why I was angry. And then at church, they talked about it and it made sense. It's a seasonal calling. This is what God had for me at that season. And then after
Yeah.
that, it was helping keep dad in the game when his girlfriend passed away. And then it was, now who's going to cheer me? And now I have a whole new mission. So, uh, I love them. I miss them. I am who I am because of their influence in my life. And it is very important for me, even though we alluded just briefly about some of the negative stuff that happened, it is critical to me to honor mom and dad because, yes, they did the best they could. Yes, they had their own stuff going on. Yes, the death of their son permanently scarred them and affected things from there. And we all came out the other side. We survived their divorce. We survived an intervention on dad. And relationships were better in the last 25 years than they were in a long time. All because we all believed that we matter. We all went on our own healing journeys and we came out the other side. That's the important part.
I love it. I love it. So we are out of time, but I
I
want to
know
make sure.
already.
I know it's so quick, so quick. Hey, when I turn 52 authors 52 weeks into the face-to-face talk show, then we'll have an hour.
Please call me. Let's do it.
So I want to make sure that everyone knows where to find you.
Best place is at my website, suebowles.com. And through that, um, I have a weekly encouragement text I send out, and people can sign up for it then because no matter where you are in your journey, everyone needs encouragement for whatever it is just to get through the day. It's called Hump Day Help. They can get that at my website to sign up for that. And then for those folks who sign up, I also have a little tip sheet I send out, and that is just 5 things to help you start getting the story straight and how to capture the critical thoughts that are floating around in your head
I love it.
because that's where it starts. That's where it starts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, last thing, what's one thing that you want to share with our listening viewing audience before we
Mhm.
go to encourage them to just take the first step?
Yeah. Dare to believe you matter. That it comes down to that. Until you believe that you matter, regardless of what has happened, regardless of what anyone else has ever said to you, spoken over to you, done to you, or that you have interpreted. You do matter. And this world is a lot better with you in it. And I want to see the effect you, healed, has on the world because you have something to offer right now. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to arrived. You only have to be a step ahead to help the person behind you. I believe in you. I know you can do it. The question is, do you believe in you?
Well, listen, everyone, this much I know that the world is better with Sue helping us navigate the space between and after, because we all need that help. So thank you so much for being here today. Everyone else, thank you so much for listening in to another episode of 52 Authors, 52 Weeks. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.